All right, everyone. Joe Biden has a big problem right now. It's beginning to become a problem, but not in the sense of like the CNN audience jumping down his throat, but just like on Twitter and stuff. But the problem is Biden's biggest goal in this election is going to be to try to get the younger, like the leftist voters to actually tolerate him so that the turnout isn't, totally depressed, because that would sink his chances in the election. His turnout would be much lower than Hillary Clinton, while Trump's in-party approval is higher than it was in 2016 by a large margin, and also the highest that any Republican has ever had. So if Biden either pisses off too many independents or pisses off the Bernie bros, he's got a problem. The problem is this. Those younger individuals, part of the leftist Twitter echo chamber and stuff, have latched onto the following story, the Tara Reade Me Too case. Tara Reade alleges that Joe Biden sexually assaulted her back in the 90s, was being inappropriate with her. Now, Biden's got a long track record of doing the schmoozy thing, like kissing women and obviously making them uncomfortable, touching people in ways that are a little bit too intimate for a photo op. That doesn't necessarily get him Me Too'd. The Tara Reade case, though, just got very, very interesting because apparently there's a clip from Larry King back in like 1993 or something, in which Tara Reade's mother actually called into the program and talked about the fact that her daughter was working for then Senator Biden, of course didn't use his name, and that he had done this, and that there was no protocol involved for her to be able to report anything. Like basically the political establishment was protecting perverts. When you've got the claim coming from her mother back then, long before she could have ever known that Biden would be anything other than, a standard senator from Delaware of all places, but I think where he was born. Did he serve as a senator there or elsewhere? I'm not 100% sure, but senator from Delaware, definitely not necessarily the most prestigious title within U.S. legislative politics. She couldn't have possibly known that Biden at the time was actually going to rise to sort of the prominence that he's at now. I don't even know if his first presidential run had occurred, and if it had, I'm sure he got crushed. I should probably look a little bit more into Biden's political history on that one. But this is, almost 30 years ago. You got this claim, and it comports to her initial claim as well, from I think several years after. So that gives it a little bit of additional credence. Now, of course, it's still just an allegation. We have no proof. We don't have video of Joe Biden sexually assaulting anyone. We don't have, well, in a roundabout way, but you know what I mean. We don't have audio of Joe Biden confessing to his priest, oh yeah, I was this staffer and fucking she was hot, so I put my ham hands all over her legs and kissed her up and stuff. I was acting like it was the 1950s, and I was only a young man at the time. I think he was already reasonably old by that point. He's almost fucking 80 at this point. But anyway, this is causing a little bit more uproar in the tech sort of realm. Like the legacy media is not going to report on it. They've basically completely locked the story out. They bury it. If they talk about it at all, they bury it behind a wall of other shit, mainly coronavirus, Trump supposedly being insane. And if they talk about it, they always do a fluff piece like this. Well, it's just an allegation. It's from a long time ago. There's no corroboration. It's like that. Was it the New York Times on Twitter there with its tweet storm with regards to it. And they said, well, we found no evidence of anything beyond a pattern of behavior of inappropriate kissing and touching. Like literally insinuating that the Me Too case against Biden is real. Literally insinuating that, I don't know, those hundreds of photos and video clips of Joe Biden at the very least being awkward and inappropriate with people, that they might actually be real. They're not deep fakes or anything. But now he's got a bigger problem, because this allegation goes into the realm of sexual assault. Now the problem is that the left has been primed for years now, #MeToo, believe all women. But now you've got Biden fans having no choice but to defend the nominee, because that's what he is. He's clinched it. Nobody else is in the race anymore from this mess. The problem is it's like Al Franken levels of crazy for them to actually defend him. And you know that there are going to be Democrats that are pressured down ballot to disavow him. That could possibly, this could actually rip the nomination out of Biden's hands, potentially. If someone right now were to mount a serious challenge off ballot and say, look, most of the primaries are never going to take place anyway. According to the DNC rules, they can't even allocate the delegates. Fuck the primary process. Goddamn appoint someone different because Biden can't kick it. It's possible. It's a very unlikely outside chance that someone who is qualified and charismatic could seize the nomination from him. At the very least, they could mount an insurgent campaign against him, crushing his presidential ambitions. because the Bernie bros would have somebody to latch onto. Wouldn't it be funny if that ends up happening? Cause absolute political chaos in the Democratic Party. Joe Biden is arguably, like, two groups of people are ripping the Democrats apart. The far left, which refuses to get aboard, and Biden, who's his own worst enemy. He's done weird shit for decades and decades. He's got more baggage within the U.S. political system than almost any other human being, because he's been in politics longer than almost any other person. The mountain of gaffes and mistakes and scandals that he's part of, not just the Tara Reade case, the fucking Burisma and all of these other things, Fast and Furious under the Obama admin, everything associated with the Obama admin. As VP, he has a share in. Fast and Furious. The tarmac meeting with Bill Clinton and so forth over the DNC servers and stuff. All of this stuff is going to bite him in the ass. And Biden's not really that good at crisis management. He's not that good at explaining these things. Like, if he has to explain the Tara Reade case, he's going to shoot himself in the foot. You know that he will. So if people keep up the pressure, and then I see before, like a month ago, before the Larry King thing, certainly the other day, typically if Biden made a post, there'd be a few people there who would talk about Me Too and you know, you should leave those girls alone and stuff. But it was, you know, it was mostly just trolling. It was a few people. Now, in some cases, it's the majority of replies, at least on Twitter. Twitter is a leftist echo chamber. That's Bernie bro territory. Twitter and Tumblr, those are the Bernie bro platforms. And then, like, you know, Reddit and YouTube is like, you know, there's a balance there, probably a little bit more in favor of Biden at times. And then Trump has, you know, his side of Twitter and certainly control over more of the better creators on YouTube, as well as most of 4chan. It's sort of like the carving up of the internet into these little territories, these little empires or something. But, I mean, Joe Biden's getting hammered. That's not coming from Trump fans. It's coming from leftists, people who otherwise would generally vote Democrat. I have a feeling a lot of them will vote Green. Jill Stein, hippie grandma, maybe she'll get back in. I don't even know who their candidate's going to be. I don't even know if they have an actual primary process, come to think of it. I'm not sure. I don't really know what the Green Party stands for other than we're Democrats with more environmentalism. We're the Democrats that disagreed with Obama on fracking, essentially, is, I guess, the Green Party. And then they had, you know, the pipeline protests where hippie grandma herself got arrested for chaining herself to a bulldozer. That was pretty ballsy. I'll give her credit for that one. It was funny. But I expect that this is just one more brick in the wall in front of Joe Biden, preventing him from getting to the White House. The problem is Joe Biden is decrepit, so that wall's already at least waist high. It only needs another foot or something, and I don't think he can pull himself up over it. He claims that he can do a lot of push-ups. He claims that he can punch people out and play them like a drum, you know, beat on their head, I guess. No, not really. He's almost 80 years old. It might break a hip in the process. It'd be funny. Then he can limp his way to the White House if that happens. He'd be so battered. He'd be a lame duck on day one. Especially since the Republicans are probably going to gain another senator. The Republicans might retake the House. It's entirely within the realm of possibility. That's about all. Peace out.